Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Hey, awesome Easter services this past Sunday.
Goodness. To go back and repeat that day, I would do it again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was a zombie by the end of the day, but I would still do it again.
Yeah, I told Scott as soon as the services were over and we're just I think he was grabbing some water in my office, and I asked him, I was like, how many people got saved or made that decision to follow Jesus? And he said, I think we're at 5 and we've got a handful of people that want to get baptized. We were still waiting for a couple people to fill out some cards or whatever. And I was like, man, I can do another 2 services if you knew that 5 people were going to give their lives to Jesus again.
But
man, it was so awesome. Just the testimonies, hearing everybody tell how, God was doing those things and working in their lives and how they've seen the Lord just provide in the different ways that they were praying and the different ways that they were reaching out to Him. It was so awesome. Yeah. I don't know that I'll ever get tired of hearing Gina and Will's story.
Oh my gosh.
Just super cool.
Super cool.
Pastor Cheryl and I pre-record our What's Happening show, which is our pre-service show for our online audience. Make sure you check that out. And so we pre-recorded for Easter or the week after Easter. And of course we expected and we knew that it was going to be amazing, but we actually have to re-record our service or our What's Happening show for this week, which is post Easter. And I'm so glad that we have to, because I don't think that we realized the magnitude of what happened. Or what was going to happen. And so it is just incredible, the aftermath of everything and just what God is doing in people's lives. Just so many, the salvations and the baptisms are great, but I think that the way that God is working in the lives of people who haven't necessarily taken those next steps yet, it's awesome.
Yeah. And just hearing people's testimonies, and it's kind of man, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Jesus is a good thing.
Yeah.
And hearing people's testimonies of what they've done, because, Scott he's a fantastic communicator, and his story is just so special in what God did in his life. And we've heard myself kind of touch about what God has brought me through, and we're never, ever going to stop sharing what God has done in our lives.
Right.
But the downside to that is that it's almost kind of you find a restaurant and you find this dish that you like, and you go and you eat it and you eat it and you eat it. And over time, that dish, you're like, okay, I need something different. Is that making sense?
No, absolutely.
It's good to hear what God has done in other people's lives.
Yes.
Like I said, Scott's never gonna stop telling what the Lord has done in his life.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna stop telling people what the Lord has done in my life. But it's also good to hear a new story of what God has done in somebody's life.
Well, I think that sometimes it's easy to be in the audience, so to speak, and to hear from those same communicators again and again, their story. It's still powerful. God still did it. But when you hear it from someone who's from the audience with you, when you hear it from somebody else from the seat next to you or beside, it suddenly becomes a next level connection for you. You're like, that is also my story, or that can also be my story.
Yeah.
It kind of takes it to more of a personal level. And man, even just coming in, we brought teenagers in to hear those testimonies, and just even hearing them talk about, what impacted you from that. It was just incredible to get those doors open towards, where have I seen the Lord? What has He done for me? And is it really that easy to talk about it? Yeah, it is. Like, it's that easy to just tell your story.
Yeah. And I think it showed people, adults, teens, kids, because Pastor Jess did the same thing back with Kidsmen.
That's right.
It shows people that feel like maybe their story isn't super epic, or maybe it's super vanilla and they don't have they didn't go through anything traumatic or anything like that. I think it showed people that, hey, I have a story regardless of how, climactic it is or not. It's still my story, and people will resonate with that no matter what it is.
That was cool. It was a cool day.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And just the wide gamut of the life instances where God showed up. Not everybody has dealt with substance abuse like I did. There's a connection there between myself and the Recovery Point ladies,
right?
Which is very encouraging for them. But not everybody has had it like an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction like I did. But somebody may have been dealing with anxiety on Sunday morning, and they heard Kristen's story about how God has provided for her. Someone could be praying for their child, and the wide gamut, like I said, the gamut of people that we had up there of what God has done. Like I'd be very far pressed, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like trying to find somebody that didn't fit in line with one of those stories, it would be very, very, very rare. But it was good. I enjoyed it. Cool. I mean, let's do it again.
We are.
Tell your story.
What we're singing on Sunday?
Huh?
Do it again?
Yeah, we are.
Well, and we have, for our listeners who are listening now, we have a space on src.life where you can share your story.
Do.
Yeah.
And we're building up a library of amazing testimonies to just let everyone know God is doing stuff in our lives. He is a living God. He is real. He's not a story, a pretend story, a fable. He's very real, very alive, and doing stuff through a new life in Christ and the Holy Spirit moving in people. And you can share your story, src.life. There's a share your story tab, and we would love to hear it.
Yep.
Yeah, we want to celebrate with you.
Absolutely.
Like we want to tell the world and everybody else what God has done in your life, and it's amazing.
And a really cool thing that I just thought about, on src.life, we have a way for people to upload videos, and so you can tell your story, you can write it out, or you can submit your own video.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Like a reel or something, like a TikTok or a reel style.
So
that'd be great.
Whichever way you want to do it, share your story. Or if you just want to share it with somebody that you are around, somebody that's in your circle of influence, do that. We encourage you to share your story. Tell people how the Lord has transformed your life.
Yep.
Because it will transform theirs.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting conversations on the lunch break. I've always tried to challenge people. Just talk to people. Just, hey, can I tell you something really quick about what the Lord has done in my life? And if they go no, you just say, well, let me just tell you really quick.
Too bad.
I mean, it's such a good ministry tool. It's your story. So often we read the stories of how God provided for people in the Bible, but He's also done it for you, and share that with people.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's good. Well, we got a good episode for you today. I found out preparing for this, I am very underprepared for this because I don't fully comprehend it, but I wanted to bring in our resident experts on the Enneagram.
I love being called an expert.
I dislike being called an expert, which totally fits.
It does. It really fits our
But
type.
you know more about it than I do.
Yes, and that is expert. Expert in the room is the person who knows the most.
So y'all are the resident experts.
Oh, gross.
Whenever I mentioned this and y'all were like, man, we should probably do an Enneagram podcast, and Meghan was like, ooh, me. You reminded me of like Will Ferrell and Elf, and you're like, ooh, I know him. I know Santa Claus. Like, you're like, I know Enneagram.
That is my gift.
Yeah,
that would be my gift, 100% for everything.
Yes, I know him. Your gift would be Elf. getting excited.
Oh my gosh, he is my type.
So let's start off with the basics. What is an Enneagram? Not exactly, but as close as we can get to it.
Well, there is actually a definition for the Enneagram because it is a word in the dictionary.
Wait, like Webster defines it as?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the definition is a 9-sided figure used in a particular system of analysis to represent the spectrum of possible personality types. And possible is the key word.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of dive into that. What's your...
So with Enneagram, compared to other personality testings, there's a lot of fluidity, whereas a lot of other personality testings, if you've worked in the corporate world or even if you're in high school, college, a lot of times they have you take these types of tests. Yes.
I like that.
Tests. So that you can
You need some more coffee?
I do. This coffee's got way more sugar than I'm used to. I'm like geeking out over here. They typically do testing so that you can maybe see what kind of job would you be fit for, what kind of, whatever. And it's very hard black and white. You either fit in this category or this category or this category. Whereas with Enneagram, things are much more fluid. You can fit within a spectrum, and then things can shift a little bit one way or another. So I really think that word possible personality truths is definitely the key.
Yes, 100%. Because within the spectrum are different spectrums. So it's almost like when you look at yourself in a mirror, but there's a mirror behind you, you are seeing like, that's how I visualize this. Is like,
that's a good visualization.
There are, so within like, let's just say you're a type 2, you have your stress type, you have your growth type, and then you also have your wings, which are the two numbers,
like a bird.
or like Red Bull.
Okay, so a better, I guess for people listening, to better understand this, think of like the shape of a moon, okay? Kind of like a crescent almost, or a croissant if you want to.
Ooh,
Or if you're French.
Or if you're French. You said it, not me.
Okay.
And so there's 9 points that go around the edge of the crescent.
Well, it would be a full circle. It would be a full circle, and it would have almost like what is that? What's the next thing from an octagon? What's a nine?
A nine-tagon?
Oh, that's a 5. That's 5.
I don't know what that's called, but it's that it'd be similar to that, like a circle, and it would have triangles within it, 3 triangles. That
gotcha.
So if that helps visualize it, 3 triangles laced over each other to make almost a 9-pointed star.
If you were to wear this as a piece of jewelry, people might think that you're into like witchcraft or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it reminds me of.
I don't encourage you.
We don't encourage that.
It's tacky, to be honest. No, but so there's numbers that go around this shape, this nine-tagon, whatever it is. I think it's a decagon, but that may be 10.
No, it's 10. We'll Google it.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But so you take, is there a test that you take to find out your initial number to then begin to find out what branches off from that number?
Yes.
I'm trying to explain this about as simply as I can. So, or ask questions to where we can understand this, because I'm trying to think of it from like a listener's perspective, and it's hard to see like if I were to show something. So
yeah, so if you take it here, and here's an explanation on that's how, with a circle around it.
Yeah.
So kind of in a nutshell explanation of taking the test. When you take a personality assessment, a lot of times, whatever assessment it is, whether it's Myers-Briggs or Enneagram or the Working Genius, what they do is they encourage you to not think too much about your answer.
Yeah, it's an initial reaction.
Yes. If you think too much about it, you're going to think of what you would want to do versus what you would actually do.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the quicksand that I got myself into when I originally took the Enneagram. I've been like 3 different Enneagram types. So I mean, I haven't, but I thought that I was. So, and that's because when I took the assessment, I thought too hard about the answers. And so I kind of like, and Pastor Anna brought this book in. It's not like the kind of the one size fits all book, but it is a book that describes all of the personality types and really just some key factors for each personality type. And so reading this book is really what helped me determine what my actual type was. So an assessment can be misleading.
Yeah.
Depending on the type of test taker that you are.
Okay.
I mean, think about when you're in school. If you're in school now, some of us are really great test takers, and we take a test and we might not even really know all the content, but we are confident taking the test.
Right.
And then others know all of the content, know everything about it, but when they sit down to take the test, they do not do well.
That's me.
It's the same concept. It's the same concept with something like this. If you are looking to discover your Enneagram, you're looking to discover more about yourself, it's going to come with maybe some ups and downs along the way. And that's not just with Enneagram, that's just in life. As you're discovering who you are, who God made you to be, there's going to be ups and downs where you're like, I thought that was a right fit, and it just, I don't know anymore. And that's where people of faith, if you're stepping into the Enneagram, it's important to don't forget, like, this doesn't define you.
Right.
This just is helping you discover who God made you to be.
Absolutely.
And giving you those tools and resources towards that.
Gotcha. So, in a nutshell, Enneagram, a personality assessment that you get assigned a number, which I'm 1 out of 9, and each number is a different personality type. Once I find out, like, once I take this test and it gives me the number, like, what are my next steps? Like, what am I doing with this information?
Well, it depends on what number you end up being,
Yes.
because what's so funny is the different personality types might approach it differently. So I'll give you an example. I am a personality type Enneagram 9, and I was just open to it. Not like, oh, I want to dive into this, but just like, okay, what's next? Okay, I find out my wings. That means just like, if I'm a 9, that means 1 is to one side of me and 8 is to the other side. Do I lean more towards 8 or towards 1? Okay. And now I learned that. Now what else? Oh, I'm a part of the anger triad. You're welcome. Meaning that 1s, 9s, and 8s all are kind of fueled by anger. That sounds really terrible, but that's not really terrible. It just means that they respond to anger. Like, when they have anger in them, it causes them to have a response. And that can be a really great thing. Like, I get really angry about injustice. When I see things that injustices, I feel angry, like I could fight. And that is awesome, because that means that I want to do something to make that better. And so, like, the anger doesn't necessarily lead to fighting and, like, the world corruption, but instead it actually fuels something really incredible. And so, like, learning those things. Now, my husband, Paul, is an Enneagram 7, and he tested that from the start. And I was like, do you want to learn more?
Well,
and
hold that thought.
That's fine.
Are there specific labels for these numbers that says that you are obviously you're type 9, but what is there a label for
There
this
is.
number?
Yes.
So where we can begin to, like, better understand
Yep.
this.
So 9s are often called the peacemakers. And so I am, interested in all of these different things. I'm not opposed to a lot of things. I have peace about, hey, like, let's get to the bottom of the situation. Like, so that's kind of where I was just not attracted to Enneagram, but also not like, no, get that crap away from me.
It's funny how you say that you're the peacemaker, but you're in the anger triad.
Yeah, so what I actually just started learning.
Interesting.
Right, it is. It's really strange. But we actually just got through, this book is called The Road Back to You, the Enneagram Journey to Self-Discovery. And Paul and I have been reading this. You can see we have a bookmark in where we're at right now. We're actually reading this at home. And we got through the chapter about type 9s. And it said the anger in a type 9 is internalized. Nines internalize anger. So when I'm angry, I may not, like if I'm angry with Meghan, I may not come to Meghan and say, hey, Meghan, what you did really upset me. Here's how I feel. Instead, I'll just internalize and like pretty much punish myself for being angry. I'll say like, I shouldn't be angry about that. I need to get over it. I need to, whatever. And which often leads to a lot of passive aggressive behaviors, things like that. And so that's one of the things that, I've found to be just incredible as we're learning through this. But Paul is a type 7 Enneagram, which there's someone in the room that's also type 7, which is the enthusiast.
Jared.
No, it's not me. I haven't taken the test.
It's me.
Paul is the enthusiast, and enthusiasts are known to just think happy thoughts. We don't have bad days. There's no such thing as bad days. Every bad day has a bright side, which is an incredible outlook on life. However, when I approached Paul with this and was telling him a little bit about what I've been discovering, he was like, I don't want to learn about that. And I was like, well, why not? You could learn about, who you are. And he told me later, now that we're going through it, he's like, I knew there were things about me I discovered that I wouldn't like. And so I didn't want to even start. I wasn't even interested because I didn't want to have to face the bad things. And I was like, how interesting. That fits your type. Like that fits who you are. But knowing those things about yourself can create a really planned approach towards growth. I can start to grow in a direction. Like if I know that I don't like confrontation, then I need to start telling myself, hey, this confrontation is going to lead to peace. Like if I love peace, but I hate confrontation, I can't get peace if there's struggle. Like, so I have to get through that struggle to lead back. And that's where so many people, whenever they aren't aware of who they are, their personality traits, whatever, they can kind of just sit in what's comfortable and not take those steps because maybe they don't know what step to take next. They don't know what to do next. I just know that makes me uncomfortable, or that makes me feel afraid, or that makes me whatever, anxious. And so I'm just not going to do that thing. But what if on the other side of that thing is your freedom? What if on the other side of that thing is what you're actually looking for?
Is there a personality type in the Enneagram that doesn't mind the confrontation but just doesn't know how to move forward?
Yeah, like a ton of them. But so I'll kind of go through here. They're not in order in this because they go through the book in different orders. I think that's on purpose because different types, it's important to learn about them first or last or whatever. So the type 3 is called the challenger. The type 9 is called the peacemaker. Type 1 is called the perfectionist. Type 2 is called the helper. Type 8 is the challenger. Thank you. Type 8 is the challenger. Type 3, the performer. Type 4, the romantic. Type 5, the investigator. Type 6, the loyalist. Type 7, the enthusiast. So that kind of lays it out for everyone who's listening.
It's so funny how the 7 is the last chapter.
Yep. Tell them why, Megan. Tell them why.
Well, because I know why. But to speak to the type 7 that she was talking about and the example that she shared about Paul, not wanting to know more. And actually, Pastor Scott and I got into, I wouldn't say an argument last night, but kind of a heated discussion where I did something that I shouldn't have. And my natural inclination in that moment, because I was so uncomfortable, because I knew that I had messed up, my natural inclination toward that conversation was to, 1, blame other people, 2, redirect the focus off of what I did. And 3, try to justify what I did by being defensive. And that was because I don't like that was a very uncomfortable, that was not holly jolly for me.
Yeah.
That was very uncomfortable, and it was directed towards me. I'm okay with conflict pretty much any other time unless it has to do with me, because then I have to deal with it. And so what I chose, and this is the growth part of it. So, and I think that we'll talk about this a little bit more, but just to touch on it, what matters about taking these personality assessments, and specifically the Enneagram, a lot of people tend to use this as their crutch or an excuse as to why they are the way that they are.
Yeah, I can't do that because I'm the romantic on the Enneagram, and most people, like myself, like I don't know if I'm not saying that that's what I am, but I'm just using that as an example. But you can't blame bad behavior on a test,
right?
On a personality test,
right? So the reason
it's beneficial in the way that you can help, that you can learn to work through issues, but you can't just say, I'm this number on the Enneagram, and so I'm not going to take care of that or do that or confront that or do whatever.
Well, that's
silly.
That's the natural response from a lot of people is, well, that's just the way that I am.
Yes. And
it is the way that you are in a sense, but there's also a growth proponent.
Yes.
Component.
Component.
There is a growth component to this Enneagram thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so last night when we were in this discussion, instead of choosing to blame other people, instead of trying to, which I did, it's growth, I justified what I did. But I could have done a lot of other things, and I chose to apologize, to own what I did, and then sit in that.
Yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah.
But that's growth.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's not something that I used to be able to do. And now I'm not saying that that's like because I know that about myself because of the Enneagram. It's just something that I know about myself because I know who I am. I'm not 100% self-aware yet. Give me time, guys. Give me grace. But I do know some things about myself. And so I may not get that right all the time. But last night in that discussion, I recognized it and I chose to go the other way. Yeah. So
should you have been up on the stage on this past Easter and how you've seen the Lord work in your life?
No.
Come on now. I'm just saying amazing. Like, no, but that's good that obviously understanding a little bit more about yourself, but then also allowing the Holy Spirit to remind you of those things to where you can grow. I've been in that position to where it's like, okay, I could give excuse or justify why I did what I did. Yeah. And it would be perfectly fine if my justification was received. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I know that it won't be received, even though it is justified, I just need to take a step back and just say, look, I'm sorry. Yeah. I messed up. Yep. I should have done protocol 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mm-hmm. whatever it is in that situation.
100%.
And yeah, I've been there.
Well, and that's where whenever we do these types of tests and experience like different typing, you're still an individual thinker. Like you're still your own individual person. You make your own choices. Mm-hmm. And with choice comes consequence. And so those consequences could be incredible, or they could be something you have to pay dearly for. Right. And no matter what you're going through, and I've experienced this too, I'm far, far from perfect. You have to sign your name at the bottom of every choice that you make. Yep. It's yours. And this, like you guys are saying, this is not an excuse for bad behavior. But what's beautiful about discovering yourself is that when you discover patterns that are towards bad behavior, you can make the shift towards getting rid of that in your life. You can make the shift towards creating a more organized mindset mm-hmm. towards, hey, this is leading me somewhere. Yeah. And I'm not working hard to go to the wrong direction. Like going the wrong direction for many of us is not difficult. No. But this needs a redirection. Yeah. And the beauty is saying, this is where I can end up. Mm-hmm. I can grow into this this point, and utilize my abilities and traits and skills to get me there. I don't have to change who I am. I just have to focus on the good parts of who I am and really push into that. And these other characteristics, I can say, you know what, this is a part of who I am, but it's not in charge of who I am. And I think there's a lot of benefit in discovering those kinds of things.
And a lot of people wonder, like, how, you know, this is self-help. This is that area where, you know, we should be looking to Scripture. We should be looking to the Holy Spirit to lead us, guide us, direct us. Right. But self-awareness is a real thing. Yeah. And we all need to be more self-aware so that we can allow the Holy Spirit to lead, guide, and direct us and correct us. Yes. Because if we don't know or don't see what our issues are, then we can't fix them. Yeah. It's kind of, it's like that blind spot thing. If you don't know what your you don't know what your blind spots are. That's why you have people in your life to help point those out. But if
Erica does a good job of that.
But if you don't have any self-awareness, if you don't have self-awareness, then what people point out to you, or better yet, in your relationship with the Lord, what the Holy Spirit points out and corrects in you, you're not going to take it very well. Yeah. You're gonna run the other direction, which is that deciding to either fight or flight. You're either going to grow from that, or you are going to stay where you are. Yeah. And so these assessments are more, I believe, to help you become more self-aware.
Yeah. Now, you and Paul are going through this. Have you found that this has helped out in your relationship, like, at all? Like, I mean, I know that y'all, like, you're in the middle of it right now, and I don't know how many instances or whatever that you've been able to possibly talk through and grow through together. But are you finding that you and Paul are becoming better at the whole marriage because of going through this book?
I will say that we haven't gone through the chapter that's his typing yet. We've only gone through the chapter that's mine. And very like a 9, very much like that. He was reading, and I just kind of sit and listen. And I'm like playing a game on my phone because I feel like this is some kind of low key conflict. I feel like it's some kind of like really like subtle conflict that's happening. Like he's reading, he's like, oh, like I was just in the chapter, and he's reading, nines as children often feel like their opinions aren't heard, or these things. And I'm like sitting there like, now I'm really tapping hard at the phone while I'm playing the game. Like, and he's like telling a story in the book about, well, this young lady was a middle child, and she, you know, whatever. And I'm like tapping even harder. I'm like, I'm a middle kid. Like, this all is making so much sense. Like, and I say all that to say that there were moments where Paul was like, does this sound right? And I was like, very much so. And then there were other parts where he was reading, and I shared this with Meghan this week, where he was reading about oftentimes 9s will allow others to get the spotlight because they know what that can do for someone. They know how that can make someone feel encouraged, uplifted, whatever. And so they'll push that. In doing so, they sometimes lose their own voice and allow themselves to be shut out. And internalizing that becomes like, well, maybe I'm not that valuable because I didn't get to say what I wanted to say, or I didn't get to wanted to do. And it can become a quick path towards depression, a quick path towards feelings of loneliness and all this stuff, even though my heart is to create peace and create joy and create all this stuff. And Paul, we're sitting there, and he says, do you ever feel like that? And I was like, sometimes. And he was like, do I ever make you feel like that? And then like this awkward silence like hits the room. And in that awkwardness, we had a really amazing breakthrough together. Like, he's like, I am sorry for taking away your voice sometimes. Like, I'm sorry that happens. I was like, it's okay. You're not doing it on purpose. Like, I know that, and it
You're
was just
a 7.
Yeah, like it is. It's just who you are. Like, and so like even those types of things, like going through something like this with people you love and care about, like it can really be helpful. Just like all the other things that we've done, like the 5 love languages or different assessment. Like, these things are not meant to define you. They're meant to help you define your life, the way that God wants you to live and treat others and love yourself and love others. Like, if you're a believer, your life is God first, others second. And it's hard to love others second if you don't know them, if you don't know that, this person isn't going to speak up, so I need to give them permission to speak. Or this person is going to take over the whole room, so I need to remind them, hey, there's other people here, or whatever that is. And so getting to know others really is a powerful tool towards speaking God's words to others and living out a Christian life and being Jesus to the people around you.
Yeah.
That happened to us just a couple nights ago as we were going through this book together. It was cool. It was really, it definitely made me feel like nervous because it did feel like some type of confrontation, but I was like, this is exactly what we needed right now. So,
yeah. I don't know. I'm going to take a test, and then I guess maybe in a future episode we'll have y'all back, and then we'll discuss. Like, oh
my gosh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, y'all want to figure. Y'all are like, okay, when can we record this? Like in an hour?
Yeah,
can you take the test in an
hour?
No,
part 2.
No. Enneagram part 2. Yeah, I mean, I want to take it. I also want to find out how I could be a better individual, a better husband to my wife. I want to be a better coworker. I want to be a better leader. I genuinely want to be better. And I think that if I could understand myself better and how I react and how I perceive and how I go through life, then I think it'll help me be able to address certain things that do need to be addressed to be able to where I can work on myself, but also whenever the leader gets better, the leader of my home, the leader of a ministry, then everybody gets better.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, I think it was a podcast there at the beginning of the year, and I mentioned that I went around to as many staff members as I could and did my year-end review in person with you guys.
Yeah.
And that was a part of me stretching my 9-ness. I did that intentionally to stretch myself because I don't want to stay where I am. Yeah. I want to, and that was not a conflict. I didn't feel like I walked away with anyone being angry or anything like that. But internally, I felt, oh, this confrontation is stressing me out. But if I want to grow, I have to do the steps it takes to get me there. Like, because something that I see as a confrontation, someone else sees as a conversation. And that's the same thing with whatever type you are. There are things that you're going to see as, that's a lot of work. Like, I'm going to have to listen to their whole story, but you don't realize that by listening to their whole story, you just built a relationship connection that will take you to the next level. Like maybe someone who is more facts-based and they want to get their task-oriented. They want to get the task done, the checklist, get all the things done. They're missing on relationships where God's like, hey, it's people over relationship, or it's people over task, people over process. And those are the moments where we get to say, this is how I naturally respond. I have to push myself so that I can experience the fullness that God has for me. Right. And it's not usually real fun, but it leads to really amazing moments of growth and opportunity.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to take my test. And if we don't do a follow-up, we should do a follow-up episode, but if we don't, I'll let you know my test results.
Oh, don't worry, Megan will ask.
I will make sure.
Hey, did you take that test yet?
Let's sit
right now, Jared. I'll help you.
Let's just go ahead and pre-record this.
Go open up a web browser. Click, click, click. Test.
Oh yeah.
Here you go.
But it's a rabbit hole of.
Now, are you the type of personality if you're like over my shoulder while I'm taking this test and you would be like, no, Jared, that's not your answer?
No, but I would be the type that reads a book and says, this is the type you are.
Oh, yeah.
Because
we were trying to figure it out before we hit the record button. You're like, man, I can like legitimately see you as any one of these. And I'm going, yeah, that's the.
Well, we said anyone except for 9. That's
you're definitely not a 9. But I'm still in the process.
Offense.
Like Scott won't. He's taken a couple of Enneagram assessments, and he's come up with different answers both times.
Yeah.
And so that's why I look at, I look at all the different types and the subtypes and the wings, and I think, like, I try to diagnose him with.
That's the worst way to put. You don't diagnose him.
I mean, that's the.
She does.
Yeah.
We're trying to encourage people to take this. So, now, I'll give you all the results. So, we're moving right along into Nana's casserole.
Oh my gosh, Nana brought casserole. Okay, you guys.
Nana brought casserole.
This is a new thing for me.
I was going to say, if you're new to the Pastor's Potluck like Meghan is on this specific episode.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm not new to the potluck.
This specific episode. Whenever I come on, I like to bring a little casserole with me. A little trivia. Are you ready for some trivia today?
Steady.
Nana's casserole is brought to you by Anna Blake. Sorry. Moving on. What was the very first documented in history personality test? What was it? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know.
The first personality test documented.
It was in 1919, I believe, or 1909, something like that. Early 1900s.
Like a person, like they were studying a specific personality type.
They were
like a serial killer.
They were screening for specific traits in personalities. You think it was for murderers?
No, I don't think so. I think it was. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not understanding the question.
The first personality test that was ever created.
I'm only because I'm taking a guess is the Myers-Briggs.
Oh, close. Not quite. The very first personality test that was ever created.
How was that close?
You said it was an actual test that you just described. It was called the Woodworth Personality Data Sheet, and it was used by the U.S. Army during World War I to screen U.S. recruits that might be susceptible to shell shock. So it was designed to put U.S. recruits in the right positions so that they could do their very best during
that is amazing.
war times. Yeah, you're welcome.
It's pretty nifty.
In 1917, Catherine Briggs began research into personality types. What is the name of the personality type indicator that her team developed?
Like the 4-letter thing? Or just the Myers-Briggs?
That's it.
I
Myers-Briggs.
was about to say, you just said it. Like, I know the answer to this. I'm letting you.
When I wrote it
you're
down,
a guest here on the
initial
podcast. So I was like, give her the points. Give her the points. Give her the points.
The invisible points.
Yeah.
I mean, we have real points.
Well, my
here.
initial thought was the ENFT. Like when I was trying to think of all the different personality assessments that I've, been exposed to, I was like the ENFT, and I'm like, that's not what it's called. It's Myers-Briggs.
There you go. Okay, so in the 1990s, more than 400 of the Fortune 500 companies used this positive psychology assessment. What do you think? 1990s, big corporations used this assessment.
Was it the one that you guys took before I was on staff?
No,
it wasn't that one.
All right, it was called the Strengths Finder. Do you remember Strengths Finder?
Yes.
Strengths Finder. I remember that was like a
This is a topic I know nothing about.
Hey, that's all right, kiddo.
Like, I think if we did music one day, that would be great.
So
next podcast, bring some musical Nana's casserole.
I'm in the process of the ordination process. I am in the ordination process. And rewind. Forget you heard that. I am in the ordination process, and
of
with
processes.
that of process, in that process, you have to
process information.
To take all of these assessments, and one of them is the Strengths Finder.
Yes, it is.
So,
all right. So to wrap up Nana's casserole, I have some celebrity enneagrams. I want you to guess what enneagram these celebrities are. The first is Tom Cruise. What do you think his, and if you need the cheat sheet,
I believe he is a 3.
Types.
He's a 1.
Tom Cruise is a 3. high achiever. He is the performer. Look at that. How
I said
about
He gets a
perfectionist.
pass.
that was good.
He
I'm
gets
guessing.
a pass.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's all
going
it
by
is.
the name.
Just a guess.
So
How about Andy Samberg? You guys know Andy Samberg?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
let me see your list again.
I would say gosh, it's weird. It's hard because I know Tom Cruise is just like a person. I mean, because we're besties. But I also, like, the only way I know Andy Samberg is through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I don't know if that's his actual personality.
He was in Saturday Night Live, too.
Yeah.
So I would categorize him as a 7.
All right, you ready? Andy Samberg, 7. Wow.
Shoot,
Wow.
2 for 2.
Wow, that's crazy.
They should rename the test to Myers-Briggs Beha.
That's not the.
It's fine. It's fine.
Enneagram.
Only 2 more to go. We've got Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. What do we think?
Oh gosh.
Oh, he's a 6. He's a loyalist.
Okay.
I don't know what loyalist is, but he's very loyal.
All right, we'll go with that. What do you think over there?
He just looks like a loyalist.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about Keanu Reeves. Maybe 2.
All right, Keanu Reeves checks in as an Enneagram 9, a peacemaker. And then last but not least, we have Tom Hanks.
Did you just say last but not leaves?
I said leaves.
Leaves?
Last, and now we're leaves.
I'm
Who? Tom
trying
Hanks?
to process.
Tom Hanks.
Trying to process that information.
I think Tom Hanks is a 4.
I'm gonna blame it on my allergy medicine. It makes my mouth a little dry, a little TMI, but you're welcome.
I have no idea.
Tom Hanks, you ready for it? You guys ready? Tom Hanks is Enneagram 6, loyalist.
Missed it.
Loyalist. That dude is here for the long haul. Well, on this episode of Nana's Casserole, you can just toss it out because no one is here for it. Nana, try a new recipe.
Is that usually what you do?
No.
Nana, try a new recipe.
No. Sometimes Nana's recipes are really great.
I liked that.
Aw,
I was 2 for 4 on the.
That's how it is on the potluck. Sometimes you find things that you really like, and other
That was
times
like a turkey
Yeah.
tetrazzini. A lot of people don't like turkey tetrazzini. I love it.
We're not in the mystery meat yet, so I don't know what you're talking about with tetrazzinis and turkeys.
Have you ever had turkey tetrazzini?
No.
It's literally the best post-Thanksgiving casserole you'll ever eat in your life.
So you just put everything in a casserole dish and bake it?
No, you do. It's basically just turkey from Thanksgiving. And you make a roux. You know what a roux is? You make a roux. You add peas and carrots.
like a kangaroo.
Yep.
No, like butter and flour and you brown it.
Oh,
And you put the turkey and
Is
you
that
add a little
like gravy?
Parmesan cheese.
No, because it's sorry.
I'm gonna give y'all a recipe here.
Hold off
I
on
am
the
going to
tetrazzini.
give this recipe for this episode. Exclusive for you listeners.
So basically, like whenever you start off like a soup base and you,
To thicken it.
it's yeah,
thickener.
but it's also a flavoring agent too. So because like the longer that you cook the flour and the butter, you have to constantly stir it because it'll burn really fast. But it starts off as a light color, obviously, because flour is white. But the longer that you stir it and you cook it, it gets darker, and it makes it and it gives it more depth of flavor. But once you go too far, then it's just burnt.
But it's a thickener. So like you use a roux for gravies. You use a roux and it's equal parts butter and flour.
that's cool.
Yeah, pretty awesome. But you make a roux, you add it's almost like a chicken pot pie, except it's not a pie. So you add, those Ramey's egg noodles, like the frozen egg noodles. And typically we have leftover noodles because we make those for Thanksgiving. And you add noodles and then you add breadcrumbs and you bake it. And it is literally the best casserole I think I've ever had in my life.
We just take everything that's left over. Why are we talking about Thanksgiving and
make a
singing April?
sandwich.
Yeah, no, we take everything and just put it in a bowl and just mix it all together. Because we do rice.
They sell those
because
at
I'm from
KFC.
Louisiana.
That
We've
sounds
talked about
gross.
this on the podcast, but we eat a lot of rice because I grew up in Louisiana, and that's just a major staple of Cajun cuisine. But
Cuisine.
Hey, we're here for it.
I love rice.
We're here for it.
Cajun cuisine. Do you
Yeah.
say cuisine or cuisine?
It just depends.
If you're French or not.
Cuisine.
Croissant.
Croissant. All right, let's
All
get
right.
into the mystery meat. What are we doing?
Listen,
We're Enneagram
I've let
distracted. Is there a number 10 for
I've
distracted?
let this go too far.
Yes, you have. You have not spoken up, Anna.
Oh, dude.
I'll
This
go
is
and go and go.
Perfect segue. Mystery
no.
meat time. Mystery meat segment. Build your best burger or sandwich.
Ooh.
I feel like this is your handwriting.
Me? It is. That's mine. I don't
Nice.
even remember doing that. I'm like, man, I don't know.
I do.
Go for it.
Best burger or sandwich. I would like to start with a nice hearty bread, like maybe like a sourdough or like an Italian, like what are those? The artisan breads, like a
Ciabatta.
Yeah, ciabatta, something that has a little bit of like,
Crunch.
yeah. And then I would like to add.
You want me to finish your sandwich for you?
Yes, please.
Finish each other's sandwiches.
I knew it. That's what I was going to say. Jinx again.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So some type of hearty bread, and then I really like lunch meat sandwiches. So maybe some type of like, maybe let's do chicken. Let's do like a chicken breast lunch meat. Oh, maybe it's like spicy, like a spicy chicken breast. That sounds really
I
yummy.
can literally see all of this over your
And
head.
then
in, like, a thought
some
bubble.
lettuce, tomato, pickle, some mustard, maybe a little bit of mayo. Maybe the mustard's a little spicy too. And then
Spicy brown.
that does it. That sounds like a delicious sandwich that I'd love to eat for lunch today.
All sounds delicious.
We have leftover Olive Garden. Yeah, in the kids' fridge.
Perfect.
We have leftovers Olive Garden.
Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Sorry.
All right.
I'm going to point out every single.
Your perfect sandwich.
My perfect sandwich would be a burger, 100%. And it would start with either a pretzel bun or what's the brioche? One of those two.
Yeah.
And it could be beef or it could be turkey. Big on turkey burgers. As long as it's juicy. Don't like a dry one. And Swiss or cheddar cheese.
Oh, Swiss tastes like
Complete
the smell of
like
feet.
opposite spectrums on the opposite ends of the spectrum on the cheese scale. You know, because Swiss is very different than cheddar.
Yep.
Is that what you said? Cheddar.
I love Munster, but not a burger. Anyway, so
I do like Munster.
cheese for sure. I think what makes the best burger is caramelized onion and an aioli, a good aioli. So a little bit of mayo, a little bit of garlic, a little bit of mustard. Mix it together. Let it sit. Ooh, sriracha mayo. Okay, I could really go on and on. As long as it has an aioli on it, I'm good to go.
All right. So
You just counted me down.
I did.
yes, she did.
I'm not okay with that.
So take the Hawaiian bread rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Toast
they
them
have
up.
burger ones like that.
That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Take the Hawaiian bread rolls, the buns. Toast it up. I need 80-20 beef because it's got a good amount of fat in it. That's going to keep it juicy, but it's not like ridiculously like where it's going to sog up the bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right. So mayo, mustard, do lettuce, tomato, fried egg.
Gross.
Yum.
I love the sunrise burgers or whatever with eggs on it. Bacon.
Vomit.
That sounds amazing.
It's not your burger.
Yeah. Well, here's newsflash. I would eat both of your food. I would eat all the food that's
Let's
been
get in a
mentioned.
fake fight and make Anna uncomfortable.
I'm already uncomfortable.
I don't want to do that. I like my job and we're recording this in video.
Not like a physical fight. I just
Even a
mean-
fake fight, somebody's going to be like, oh, Jared's got to go. And I don't want it that
Oh,
bad.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
It's okay. It's okay, honey.
All
Daddy just
right.
got a little upset.
about his burger.
Oh, that's so great.
I don't like aiolis.
I don't like eggs on a burger.
Well, I like all of it.
It's all good.
So
Do
there's
you,
No.
that.
Anna? Do you like it all?
I do.
If I do
I am-
like a cold cut sandwich, it's got to be turkey.
I like turkey too, but I've switched to chicken in recent days because I just like the consistency better. It's more tender. Turkey always is a little bit like
Now,
slimy
whenever
or
you get
something.
do you get the prepackaged sandwich meat or do you go get it from the deli?
It depends. There's a little deli shop in St. Albans, Butcher's, and I like to go there. Black Angus, Butcher's Black Angus, and if I go there, I get it from the deli. But if I'm at like Walmart or Kroger or something, I'll sometimes just buy the pack. Where was I recently that I bought it in the pack? Oh, Aldi. I went to Aldi and bought it in the pack, and it was really delicious.
They
really
have the
delicious.
best prepackaged cold cuts.
It was very good.
Opinion.
I couldn't believe
I'm
how
going
good
to
it was.
challenge you, though. I'm going to challenge
boy.
your Enneagram. Tell me something you don't like
What I don't like?
on a sandwich. Make that ingredient feel uncomfortable for a second.
Aioli.
She
No,
says
I
she
like
likes aioli.
On a cold cut sandwich?
On any
know.
sandwich.
Oh, I usually get light or no onion. If it's like a crunchy
Say
onion.
it.
I just said that. I usually get light
Say,
or...
I don't like onion.
No, I do like onion. I just don't like a lot of onion.
You know what I don't like?
What?
I don't like mayonnaise.
Oh, I do.
I don't like plain mayonnaise. What do you not like?
There's not much I don't like. I really do have a tolerance for many, many things. Even like when I travel, I don't have an issue eating food whenever I go to weird places. Like when I went to Peru, I ate alpaca, guinea pig. Like I ate weird fruits.
That's me.
You're such a 9.
Whatever. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down.
Well, I don't like ice cream on sandwiches. That's what I don't like.
You don't like ice cream sandwiches?
No, I don't like ice
snap.
cream on sandwiches.
Whatever.
I do like ice cream sandwiches, but I don't like ice cream on sandwiches with like turkey and especially not
I like how
aioli.
you've propped this book up.
Well, yeah. So the name of the book is called The Road Back to You. The author is Ian Morgan
Cron
and Suzanne Stabile.
Stabile, yeah. And yeah, we haven't finished it yet. Megan's read it. Paul and I are currently reading it. It seems to be really good. It's written well. It's written like a lot of stories and stuff like that. So it's not just like data.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just reading like a data book. Whenever Michael Coker was on staff here, he rented a book from the library on Enneagram, and it was literally just like data. And he was like reading it. I was like, how can you even read this? He's like, I'm just into it. I'm figuring all that. Like, I was like, okay, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
So good for you. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll take the test. I'll give you the results, and we'll probably do a follow-up, and then we can pick apart my personality
that'd be fun.
disorder. And
not disorder.
I think there will be a lot of conflict in that episode.
No.
But maybe we could work through some things as I figure out whatever. But I really appreciate this and appreciated the conversation. What I didn't appreciate was the aioli.
I didn't appreciate the egg. It drives me nuts that people order eggs on a burger.
Well, it's not like scrambled eggs, and the yolk adds flavor.
No.
It's all right.
Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys.
Yeah. Y'all have a great day. Hey, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. And you can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.